I don't know about you, but I have not been able to sleep very well over the last 4 or 5 nights. I am devastated. I have been shaken by Charlie's public execution on September 10th of this year. And I have waited until this point deliberately to make a statement regarding Charlie's assassination because I believe, as he would, in the principle of being slow to speak, quick to listen. He demonstrated that perhaps better than anyone in the limelight these days. I believe in thinking twice before you speak, and I also believe in letting your words be few, though I struggle with that, not one in particular. I think some of you, if you hear nothing else at all, should lean into those principles of wisdom as well. In a day and age where anyone can publish and post their thoughts and emotions at the speed of thought, literally. And it can be published for the entire world to see. Be the different one who processes and thinks through matters before sharing them publicly to a bunch of strangers, and maybe, just maybe, prioritize the dinner table and prioritize the people you have proximity with and have conversations with people in your proximity and in your sphere and iron some things out before airing them out publicly. And if you are going to speak publicly, I believe in the principle of doing so with maturity and tact. We live in this age and society where we have hypertypers, keyboard warriors, whatever you want to call them, and they can get on to a screen and publish thoughts that have not run through a filter. They do not have to see the impact that it makes on another living soul, and they do not have to face the repercussions. I leave all that aside and digress. The events that have taken place this week have shaken me to my core. And I'm not a political person. If you follow me in my work, you know that I am not America first, I'm kingdom first. I'm a citizen of the kingdom of heaven. I am not from this world, and if you are a follower of Christ, neither are you. And therefore, the nation from which I am from is the nation that gets my attention, and everything runs through the filter of my life as a citizen of the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom in which Jesus Christ is king. I am America second at best. I am not left versus right. I'm not about that. I am only about holy versus unholy and righteous versus unrighteous. That is all that matters to me, is morality as set forth and governed by my king as a king citizen. And so I didn't listen to Charlie very much because politics has never been my thing, really. I dedicated my life to biblical exposition and counseling and psychology as of recent years, and to helping people in those fields. And I admired Charlie so much because he took philosophy and theology, and in some cases maybe psychology, and brought them into society where the war was being waged. And I respect Charlie for that. And perhaps I have been moved by Charlie's life to do more of that, speaking into the culture, speaking into society, speaking into the next generation, but not from an American political view. I will not take sides, but I will speak forth on kingdom values, kingdom politics, kingdom priorities, and kingdom culture for the purpose of creating citizens of the kingdom who live from their kingdom in heaven towards the earth, who have a kingdom first, America second mentality. And I know that that language in and of itself may be controversial to you, but if you are a follower of Christ and a believer, it shouldn't be. If you have a hard time saying I am a kingdom citizen before I am an American, there's something wrong. I hope you would agree with me in saying I will bow down to no king of a nation of the earth before I bow down to Christ. Christ is my king and the king, and I seek to know what the politics, if you will, are, the values, the cultures, the priorities are of the nation I am from. And I choose to understand that I am blessed to live in America. Out of all of the fallen nations on the earth, America, in my opinion, is the best of the fallen nations. It's the best of the miserable, broken systems of government on the earth. And the reality is that the enemy and his antichrist agenda is in motion. And the leaders of this world who lead in shadow have not our kingdom in mind. They do not have our kingdom in mind. They are not citizens of our kingdom, and they do not worship the King who sits on the throne of our kingdom. They are governed by the fallen one himself, who indeed governs and rules the earth so far as the Lord would allow him. And we are getting closer and closer to the day where he will very explicitly sit upon his throne and reject and trample our King and our kingdom. And those who would seek to live as citizens of the kingdom on the earth will be persecuted, rejected, and cut off from society. But today is not that day. And so today is an opportunity, like Charlie, to make our voices heard in society, to speak up and to live up. If you claim to be a citizen of the kingdom, it is not just time to start speaking like one, but it is time to start acting like one, to start living like one. I am grieved to have seen all over social media the responses of self-proclaimed Christians towards those who are on the other political aisle, towards those who resort to violence, calling for annihilation and death and the obliteration of lives from the earth for those who commit heinous acts of violence. And the way of Christ is a way of peace, and it's a way of forgiveness. And if that message offends you, I implore you to get on your knees and seek the heart of the Father more. Because by wishing death upon Charlie's assassin, which I do not think for a moment that he would do, you prove you are no better than the assassin. We do not resort to violence, even when violence has been imposed upon us. We do not live in an eye for an eye kingdom as citizens. We live in a kingdom that turns to them the other cheek also. And many have issue with this because they think it sounds like a message of vulnerability and weakness, and a message of permitting oneself to be walked on. And this is not the message. Quite the contrary, the message is true strength is in peacemaking. True strength is in love and forgiveness. True strength is in reconciliation and kindness and gentleness. And I believe all of these things are attributes and qualities that Charlie would be calling upon Americans to take up as their arms, and especially self-proclaiming Christians. Citizens of the kingdom, we must live according to the politics and the values and the cultures of our kingdom in heaven before we worry about the policies and the politics of any earthly kingdom. We are blessed to live in this country where we have the opportunity to vote and to have a freedom of speech and to have a voice in the way the policies are directed and they go. And I believe we should be activists, but for the kingdom, for kingdom values to be our policies, and for kingdom priorities to be our priorities when we make laws and policies in a variety of different fields and lanes. And as long as we have the opportunity to vote and to use our voice, we should. But the moment we face opposition, we must recognize that human beings are not who our war is waged against. Those with disagreements, those who would seek to harm us and ridicule us and cancel us and treat us with hostility, they are not our enemies. We wage war not against the flesh and blood, but of spirits and powers. And so our response is love, kindness, gentleness, patience, long-suffering. And I am deeply moved and wounded today by not just the loss of someone who I've never met and I've not spent a lot of time listening to, yet still feels like a brother somehow. As a counselor, I know that many are suffering today with secondhand trauma, PTSD, deep grieving and sadness. I'm with you. My heart is shredded for Erica and their 2 children and Charlie's parents and siblings and cousins and close friends that he had. And I know someone like Charlie had many, because he was a contagious individual from what I hear, and someone that exuded Christ-like attributes. It is impossible to have a small friend circle when you exude Christ-like attributes, love and kindness and unconditional positive regard. And my heart goes out for those closest to him. And for the rest of the country, I encourage you and implore you, if you haven't already, to find first a Bible-believing, teaching church, not one that is more loyal to its denomination than it is to biblical accuracy, not one that is more loyal to its traditions than it is love and kindness and acceptance, not one that is more committed to being accepted by popular culture than it is teaching the truth, the unwavering, unapologetic truth of God's word and God's law. one that is not more concerned with being relevant and hype, but creating true, genuine disciples who produce an abundance of fruit from their life for the glory of God. Find you a church like that. Lock in. Lock arms with people around you. Dive into a community and serve and be served and grow. And use your voice as you grow as a citizen in the kingdom for the kingdom. Kingdom attributes, kingdom morality, kingdom ethics, kingdom values, kingdom priorities. Practice these things in your life because they are not easy. It is not easy to be selfless. It is not easy to be humble. It is not easy to lean into delayed gratification. It is not easy to lay aside lust and pick up love. Love considers others as more important than yourself, even at your own expense. Lust does the opposite. At the expense of others, you gratify yourself. We are not called to live in this pattern and these attributes and characteristics. If you've been deeply affected by this, find a God-fearing counselor. Maybe you should do that anyway. And work through the trauma, work through the pain and the rejection and the brokenness that this broken world has thrust upon you from birth. I love counseling because I consider it very one-on-one contextualized discipleship. I love the local gathering. It's powerful. We need it. God has used it and will continue to use it. But there's something about meeting one-on-one and in small groups to face and address and process through the darkest valleys you've ever walked through with a professional that is just in its own league in terms of the power it has for life transformation, lasting life transformation. There's a lot of power in our gatherings, but we need both. So plug into a church and find you a God-fearing, biblically sound counselor who is also clinically informed. Then go out and produce fruit, an abundance of fruit. You may not be the talking type, and I would say that's preferred. Go out and live it. Model it. Show the world what it looks like to be a kingdom citizen. Show the world what it looks like to represent Jesus with your life. I believe all of these things is what Charlie would have wanted, and I believe that the Lord is using his unfortunate passing to inspire and motivate a generation, the multitudes. So that thing you're feeling on the inside, that's stirring, lean into it. Lean into it. Don't let Charlie's passing just be another thing that trends for a while and then fades away. Let it lead to true life transformation. Go out, produce fruit. There was a quote I heard, and I'll end with this. I love it so much. Preach the gospel, die, and be forgotten. I don't know who is responsible for that quote. If you know, leave it in the comments below. But the focus is not on building a platform or achieving some sort of success as defined by the culture, but it's truly going out and preaching the gospel with our life, producing fruit for God's glory, and experiencing life transformation in our life and the life of those around us. God bless you guys.